Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day, and again that you're looking after yourselves and one another. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with episode 6 of our 31 Perfect Albums series. I'm joined again by Bill, Ken, and number 6 down there, Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, guys?
Doing
Great.
well.
Going well. All right. Ken can't keep a straight face to save his life at this point.
New number six. I am not a number. I'm a free man.
Free
There you
man.
go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have put together a list of 31 perfect albums. And I mean perfect. All killer, no filler. From track 1 to track 99, whatever it is. Okay. So um, we are about to give you our pick for day number 6. So without further ado, I'll pass the virtual mic over to Bill Schuster, and he'll give us his pick for day number 6.
All right. Thank you, Armando.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to stay in 1969 again for this next pick. This one is a little more obscure than my Abbey Road pick last episode, though some hardcore fans are well aware of it, especially those in the UK. Probably this had their only hit single. The band is Rare Bird. The hit single I'm referring to is Sympathy, which is off of this self-titled debut. This is the US cover, which I think is pretty cool. This is sadly a little beaten up. It's been in the family for a very long time, and it's had some rough times. There's
A little beaten up?
yeah.
It's well loved.
Yes, it is very much so. I played
Looks
it.
like he went through a mortar attack, for God's sake, and came out the other side.
This is the CD version, which is the original cover in the UK.
Okay.
And the running order is different. In the UK version, side 1 opens with Iceberg, and side 2 opens with Beautiful Scarlet. Beyond that, songs are in the same order on each side, but it's flipped in the US. The side with Beautiful Scarlet opening is side 1 in the US and opens with Iceberg on side 2. So the cover is different, the track order is different. Who knows why? When I first got the CD many years after being familiar with the US version of this, it really kind of messed me up. I mail ordered it from one of our US prog guys, and I didn't even see a picture of it because he has a just a written catalog with no pictures or anything like that. And I got it, and what's this? I had no idea until then that this was not the actual proper original cover. So that was a cool thing to learn about. The unique thing about this band, they had no guitar. They did have bass. Steve Gould was the bass playing lead singer. Mark Ashton was the drummer. Uh, but really, the 2 lead instruments were Graham Field on organ and Dave Caffinetti of Spinal Tap fame, for those of you who are familiar with that movie, on electric piano.
Nice.
So you have the piano and the organ dueling. The guitar is not missed here. It's a pretty unique sound to this band. It doesn't sound like anything needs to be there. These, the 2 keyboards, the bass and drums are all that's necessary for them. I like that particular setup. Unfortunately, it only lasted 2 albums. This one and the follow-up, As Your Mind Flies By. Then Dave Caffinetti and Steve Gould stayed around. Graham left. Mark left. Graham went on to start a band called Fields, which lasted a very short time. And the reconstituted Rare Bird made 3 more albums, which were all good, but not in the progressive rock vein so much as the first 2 albums were. Like, some people would actually probably pick the second album as being the more proggy of the 2, or the favorite among progressive rock fans. But this one has a pretty special place in my heart. It's been in the family so long. It's always been around as far as I can remember. Sympathy is great, but that's not even the best track on the album. I think Beautiful Scarlet and Iceberg are probably my 2 favorites, the 2 side openers. You Went Away is a haunting song. Really, there's little pop gems on here also that definitely don't fit in the proggy mode. times and Melanie are just these little catchy tunes, but they fit in well. There's a nice variety on here. So if you have never heard of Rare Bird, they were supposed to be the next big thing at the time, according to the liner notes.
According to some marketing person.
Yeah, it's Tony Stratton Smith actually wrote the liner notes. So,
Oh, okay. Charisma Records. All right. Okay.
yeah. But unfortunately, yeah, they were not the next big thing. Yeah, I think Sympathy was the only hit they ever had. I know here in this area around the St. Louis, Missouri radio market on KC 95, I know they play the song Peace of Mind, which is from one of the next three. I can't remember. It's from Epic Forest, perhaps. But yeah, that's the only one I've ever heard on the radio is Peace of Mind. I've never even heard Sympathy on the radio. Of course, later the band Marillion also had a hit in the UK with a cover of Sympathy, and it went higher in the charts than the Rare Bird original, oddly enough. But I prefer the original, even though I'm a Marillion fan also. So yeah, if you're looking for some semi-obscure, proggy, poppy, psych weirdness with lots of keyboards and no guitar, this may be right up your alley.
Cool.
And
So
Steve Gould is an amazing vocalist too.
Mhm.
He kind of gets overshadowed by the two lead keys guys, but yeah, he has a great voice.
So quick question, Bill. You mentioned that there was a Dave Cavanetti Spinal Tap connection. Does Dave play Viv Savage?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Good choice. Good choice. Okay, Ken, over to you.
Okay. On my number 5, we were in New Jersey. The following year, we're going to just take a little jump into New York. 4th album, self-produced by the artist, the only album self-produced. Turnstiles, Billy Joel. This is the album just prior to The Stranger, which was a huge commercial success. 3 singles, James, I Love These Days, and Say Goodbye to Hollywood. This album has probably my favorite piano playing by Joel, easily. I think he did a wonderful job in the recording and the production of this album. I don't know why. I kind of would have liked to have seen what else he could do and produce other albums too, but he didn't. Probably a record company decision. Starts out with Say Goodbye to Hollywood, Summer Highland Falls, which is just some beautiful, wonderful piano work. And none of this piano work is easy to play. Then he goes into a nice reggae, All You Want to Do Is Dance. And then just one of the best jazz songs ever, New York State of Mind. I've been to New York, to Manhattan twice in my life. I was born in Messina, but only only lived there 4 months. But it just is such a good musical representation from what I've read of what it's like to be a New Yorker. So, but still, I just love that song. Side 2 opens with wonderful ballad, James, and goes on to a blistering prelude, Angry Young Man, with some just scorching piano work on that. It's just amazing. And followed up by another wonderful ballad, I've Loved These Days, which I think is an amazing song for someone so young, to capture something that is so melancholy, at least within the theme. Looking back and because I'm 64, it's really easy for me to do that at this point, but I couldn't even conceive something like that, understand something back then.
Yeah.
And here again, I'll say this for the 3rd time, another unbelievable closing track, Miami 2017. seen the lights go out on Broadway. One of the most incredible story songs. Post-apocalyptic, yet incredibly musical. And there again, some melancholy. The musicianship by his band is just unsurpassed. I'd love to get a nice remastered Steven Wilson remix of this album, just to
Yeah.
bring
He's the
it
go-to
out to
guy.
the forefront. Yeah. But
Yeah.
then you know, I love Steven Wilson. But yeah, now some of these songs a lot of people have heard, but not from this album, because many of these songs are on his first live album, Songs from the Attic, which is also on my list of live albums too. But it just, to me, when he starts stepping into The Stranger, it's a bit more. I don't know. To me, it is the albums after this are a little bit more commercial or easily accessible. I'm not sure which is the most accurate way to put it, but this, from the first time I listened to this album, it just captured me completely. And so and yeah, that's it. It's the
Good
top
choice.
31 of mine.
Good choice.
I just want to know what Billy was doing spying on me, because at times in my life I felt very personally attacked by the Angry Young Men's lyrics.
That's before he got real busy. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jim, you're number 6.
Yep. So I'm liking that we have all kinds of great variety in our 31s. Bill, I would say yours, the one that you listed first in this episode, is pretty darn obscure. Ken, yours is less obscure, but certainly known to folks. Mine is just I think gonna cause people's eyes to roll because it's just obvious. So it's the fourth Led Zeppelin album from 1971. I don't care what you call it, four, Zoso, Runes, whatever. It's just a absolute beast
Yeah.
of a record. Um, for 43 minutes of just unbelievable powerhouse of just rock and folk and blues and proto metal. Um, um, Black Dog, Battle of Evermore, Four Sticks, When the Levee Breaks. I mean, for me, those are the highlights of the album. And I'm not trying to discount Stairway to Heaven because it is great, but for me, those other ones just really kind of cement the creativity and the power of Led Zeppelin more to me than Stairway to Heaven does. But that's just me. But this is it. I don't know if it's an obvious pick or not. I feel like it is, but it just deserves a place because it is just so, like Dark Side of the Moon. It's just monumental. It's omnipresent. It's just you just cannot deny the fantasticness of it all. Harumph.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good album. Really good
Can't
album.
argue with it. It's not
That
my
new to
favorite
you, Bill?
Zeppelin album, but it is perfect. Is what?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't catch what you were saying. It's not your favorite.
Oh no, it's not my favorite Zeppelin album, but it is perfect.
What's your favorite Zeppelin album?
Houses of the Holy.
Okay.
And spoiler alert, I did have Houses on my list, but I took it off. So.
Well, I mean, everyone talks about Stairway to Heaven and ending off side 1 being a monumental track, and it is, but there are other songs that support it as well, that the album as a whole, like Four Sticks, and the fact that he used two drumsticks in each hand to do the drum track, like to hit the toms on the for the rhythm track for the just it's amazing all the bits of information that go into making that album. So it's good.
Yeah.
And there's and at least where I was a kid, where I grew up, um, Stairway to Heaven was just played every 12 minutes, to the point that
Yeah.
through the decades, for a long, long time, when I would play the album, I would skip that because I'd heard it so much.
Sure.
And I'm kind of glad I did that, because as of about probably 7, 8 years ago, I stopped skipping it and have gained a new appreciation for that album,
Mhm.
especially once I got during one of the remastered releases and
Mhm.
some actually good headphones. And
I think we're
it's
about
just reminded me how good the production and hearing things in Stairway that I hadn't really heard before.
yeah. I
A lot
think
of
we're
these songs, they sound great over an old car AM radio, but when you get a chance to listen to it, headphones on a good stereo, it's a whole nother experience. It really
yeah.
is.
And
So great choice.
given the timing, I think we're about due for a whole new Led Zeppelin reissue campaign. I think it's been what, about 5 years?
Yeah.
Don't give Jimmy any ideas.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just a quick
Yeah, the
note.
last one was 2 discs for
Yeah.
each album,
Yep.
except for Physical Graffiti. So I'm guessing they're going to go with full box sets for for the next one, kind of like the
If they don't,
Immersions box sets.
Yeah.
if they don't include live shows in it, it's like, come on, don't need to quadruple dip.
Just a quick note, Jim,
Yes.
regarding Force Sticks. Have you heard the side project from Alex Lifeson called Victor?
No.
Look that up on YouTube. Check out track 3, which is called Start Today.
Hmm.
The guitar line from Start Today is very reminiscent of Force Sticks, and it features on lead vocals Lisa Del Bello, who delivers a mother loving of a vocal delivery on that track.
Huh.
Um, just check it out. Am I wrong, Bill? I mean,
No.
that's how
And
you
really, yeah, that's a great track, but the whole album is just weird and fun, much like Alex Lifeson himself.
yeah, yeah.
It has all his little quirks and idiosyncrasies in there, just some oddball songs.
But that one track, Start Today, the rhythm of that track, the guitars, reminds me of Four Sticks uh from Zeppelin. So just check that one out. It's interesting. Really interesting.
Before we leave Zeppelin, what Ken's talking about it there about having heard it so much to death kind of reminds me of the deleted scene from Almost Famous, which you can see online, where the lead character is trying to, talk to his mother about how great rock music is, as she's trying to, tell him to change his life and straighten up and fly right. And he and his friends are just like, Mom, you just got to hear this one song, this one song. And, they play her Stairway to Heaven. And that the outtake is on YouTube. And so you're watching Frances McDormand, react to it in character, and it's really kind of priceless as you see her expression kind of change here and there, and she's getting all into the literality and the poeticness of things. And
Yeah.
during the guitar solo, she's even, if I remember right, she's even kind of a, that's quite good, type of thing. I mean, Ken, have you seen that outtake?
I think so. I think I
Okay.
have. It
No,
sounds
I
familiar.
haven't seen it yet myself. So
Yeah. It's
that's a
something
good
to check
choice.
out some other time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We must carry on, ladies and gentlemen. My pick for day 6, we're going to 1974. We're sticking in 1974 for Supertramp with Crime of the Century.
Terrible
Though.
album.
Yes, I know.
Terrible.
Released October 25th, 1974 through A&M Records. The band's third release, produced by Ken Scott, dedicated to Sam. Sam was basically the band's benefactor. He supported the band financially when they first started out. 8 songs. I've got to say this album has got to be one of the most best produced albums, like sonically, that there's ever been, which is surprising. It was recorded at Trident Studios, and Trident Studios, according to Brian May, who recorded quite a few albums of the early Queen catalog there, was famous for having a very thin snare drum sound. You can hear it on Carly Simon records and stuff like that. So it was very interesting how the band were able to achieve such a rich, full snare drum sound on this album. Starts off with School. All of these songs are sublime. They're all fantastic. School, with the harmonica intro and sort of like those brooding keyboards, I don't know if it's a mini moog or whatever you want to call it. Segues into Bloody Well Right. Just an amazing song. Then you have the very introspective Hide in Your Shell, featuring Roger Hudson on lead vocals. Again, Roger Hudson songs are very sort of emotional in terms of the lyrics, and very sort of I would say autobiographical in terms of Roger Hudson. Then it goes into Asylum, which ends off side 1, just amazing, sublime. Dreamer starts off side 2, perfect from top to bottom on that track. And then it segues into Rudy. And again, you've got a mixture of, I guess, of arena rock, of prog, of a bit of jazz on Rudy. It's just amazing. Just every instrument is brought out to its full. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the richness, the separation. I wish Steven Wilson would do a remix of this. Could you imagine? I'm going to get a poll here going. Imagine Steven Wilson doing a remix of Crime of the Century.
Yeah.
Like, I'd buy it. Bloody hell. I mean, amazing, amazing. And then the track, If Everyone Was Listening. Poetry. It's sublime, with the lyrics, the actors and gestures are here, the stage is in darkness and clear, we're raising the curtain and no one's quite certain whose play it is. That's the lead off lyric. Like, come on. It's perfect. And then you get to the piece that was the Stones, the title track, which that's it. I've left the building. I'm done. I mean, there's nothing that comes close to this in scope and dynamics and like just the arrangement. From the middle section on, when the piano comes in, first of all, the use of clarinet and guitar, the way they do the lines together with guitar and clarinet, and then it goes into the piano breakdown. I played that for Bob in the car. We were at a supermarket somewhere, and this came on the radio. And I said, you really have to listen to this. Just stop for a second, okay? The track played out, and he's like, okay, what about it? I'm like, you have no idea what I'm referring to, do you? Everything is an Anne Murray concert to you, isn't it? There's nothing. And he's like, I don't get it. And the piano is like, that piano intro and the whole, I'm dying in the car. I'm like, this is like drama. It is beautiful. It is poetic. And he's like, I don't get it. I'm like, we're done. All right. Okay. Let's go shopping. He couldn't get it. He could not get it. And to me, just to rein it back in here, to me, again, this album, 8 tracks of perfection. Not one track I would skip. If you want bang for your buck, get this. If this came out and box set form, like I can't say enough about it. It is perfection. I would buy it every time it was reissued on box set. If they came up with studio like outtakes and stuff, I'd be there, and I wouldn't care how much it costs. I'd mortgage my house again to get a copy of this in box set form. So that's my pick for day 6, Crime of the Century from Supertramp for 31 perfect albums.
I have a
So-
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Which one do we all three have something?
I have something. Bill, how about Bill, Ken, Jim? That's how it
Okay.
is on my screen.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, obviously, I was kidding when I said what a terrible album. This is my all-time favorite album.
I know it is. I know
It has been for many decades now, and it was the first album that came to mind when I heard about Jim's idea, because I think it is a perfect example of a perfect album in every aspect. I'll probably go into that in a later episode, but yeah. But the Steven Wilson thing, as much as I love this album and as much as I love Steven Wilson's work, I don't know that. I mean, obviously, I'd still have the original, much like the whole Dark Side of the Moon thing. It'd just be a separate. But I'm not so sure that I would really want him to tamper with this one, because I love every note just as it is right now, the way it sounds on any format. I mean, I've owned it on 8-track, cassette, CD, record, Blu-ray, whatever. Even the crappy 8-track that cut Hiding Your Shell in half sounded good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, brutal. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was harsh. But it was my only copy for a while.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Jim?
Okay.
Ken.
Yeah.
Do Ken first.
My
Sorry.
question for all three of you
Yeah.
is Supertramp Prague.
Yes.
Yes.
Mostly, I would
Or-
say Prague with a good pop leaning, especially
or Prague
in
adjacent.
No, I wouldn't. Well, okay, maybe Prague adjacent.
About symphonic rock.
I'm gonna put that question to all three of you for a later episode, for the one that I picked from 1985.
Okay.
I just think that there are bands out there, and then we'll wrap it up. There are bands out there, if you're lucky enough to have a long rich catalog. There are albums in their catalog that are considered a critical success, and there are albums that are considered by them a commercial success. This was their critical success for Supertramp,
Mhm.
just as
Right.
Breakfast in America was their commercial success.
Right.
But given the two of them, I would pick this over Breakfast in America. As much as I love Breakfast in America, I would pick this one hands down. And you could tell me till you're blue in the face that I'm wrong. You know what? I've made my decision. I'm done. I've left the building. You know what I mean? Elvis has left the building. There's no more, it's like,
Yeah.
because to me, they just hit their stride. They just hit the ground running with this album at 100 miles an hour, and they didn't stop until they were ready to stop.
So I do have a point that I want to bring up, and this is this is the help a brother out portion. Now, except for if everyone is listening, I first heard all of these songs from the Paris double album. That was my first exposure to Crime of the Century era stuff from Supertramp.
Mhm.
And I adore the Paris live album. I think it's fantastic. When I went and hearing as I have, that's like, oh, Crime of the Century is great. Crime of the Century is great. I go back and listen to it, and frankly, I found it hard to get into it because I'm just used to the livelier and kind of a bit more swing and bounce performances that are on Paris. And I don't know if that's from the production. They were just, had 5 years of touring and playing these songs under their belt, so they were just, more loose. I don't know what it is. So I'm asking you guys, just give me a hook point from Paris into Crime of the Century.
I think they're their own separate beast.
I would
I
agree.
think-
Okay.
I think that if you take Crime of the Century and just seriously sit down and listen to it,
Hmm.
with again, this is another headphones album for me, anyways. You will pick up slowly. It may not be in the first listen. You will pick up every nuance, every snare hit, every bass drum, every guitar lick. You will understand the context of why they're doing it, the placement of said arrangement or guitar line, and eventually understand why it is considered to be, not just by me or Bill, but by quite a few people, that it is
Oh, yeah.
considered to be their masterpiece, if only for their third release. Um, it's just a well-rounded piece of musical poetry. It is rock theater, it is rock music, it is progressive, it is jazz in terms of Rudy in some sections, and even the lyric for "If Everyone Was Listening."
Mhm.
Okay, not to get political, but you know what? That sentiment today needs to be heard, if not more now than ever before. So, but I digress. I'm just saying, for me, this album is perfection,
Mhm.
top to bottom. Mm. It's my opinion, but Bill can weigh in on that.
Frankly, I'm too long-term emotionally invested in Crime of the Century. I got into that well before I ever heard Paris. So that was already, those were my versions. And I
Mhm.
think Paris is a fine live album, and I really enjoy the DVD of that tour, watching the live performances. That's a lot of fun. But frankly, I always kind of held it against Paris that they only had 7 of the 8 Crime of the Century songs on the album. I'm greedy. I wondered if everyone was listening on there. So,
I love
and
it.
really, I just prefer Supertramp as a studio band.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Day 6 of our 31 perfect albums. Please again put your comments down below. Again, no right or wrong answers. Pick from any decade you want, any album you want to talk about. Again, we'd like to hear from you because we'd like to get a dialogue going. So for Bill, Ken, and Jim, I'm Armando Venditti signing off. Wishing you guys having a good day, and look after yourselves and one another. We'll see you soon with episode 7 of 31 Perfect Albums. Bye for now.